back to the spreadsheets. Like I know one of the reasons why we're all here is price, and like none of this is like financial advice or anything like that. But basically, what this will do is it'll price out with the ratio. So it sort of simulates Hart's law in a way, where if the ratios sort of just stay the same and then the ETH price changes, what could we see with HEX and EHEX and Pulse? And I put ICOSA in there because you can't forget about ICOSA. Um, so yeah, these would be the future prices in US dollar terms, which I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they if they if they blow right past this. Obviously not financial advice, but looking at like the community, looking at the founder, looking at what he's doing, like I know, didn't he recently started to make some yields there on what was it, Compound protocol?
Yeah, I made some, I think, deposits into Aave and with Compound. Uh, I can bring it up if you want, or if you want to hit on some points here. Either way.
Yeah, I'll finish up basically what this is saying, and we'll talk about like sort of like what maybe what Richard's doing. But yeah, this current ratio is like 120 pulse. It might be a little bit lower for hex. I'm projecting a future ratio of 150. This could realistically, like you could go in here and like play with it. Like you could type in 300, 600, which would be a lot of pulse chain to pay for a hex. But 120, even 150, this is like a relatively, you used to be able to swap EHEX for 150 pulse, to put it in perspective. Like it's kind of a cheap price if you think about it like that. Same thing with EHEX. Like currently it's like 69. It might be a little bit off just from the prices, like volatility and stuff. But one, if we're thinking like a 100 pulse EHEX, so it costs you 100 pulse chain to buy one EHEX. That's still like not a great ratio. Like this thing could go to 150, maybe 125, even 110. 100 is still good though. But yeah, this just goes to show like different ratios, like 2.2 PulseX. This might only be 3, this might only be 2, this might be 2.5. It's really hard to know, but this is really the most important one because this is the ETH to Pulse, and this is the one that I'm going to be paying a lot more attention to because what I want to see is I want to see this at least 10x, and that's gonna bring a lot of value. Like that's gonna bring a lot of value into the ecosystem. That's gonna make Pulse Chain very valuable. And even if you look at ICOSA to Hex, I'm only projecting here a 15 Hex per ICOSA ratio, which would be way below the ceiling price. Like we're talking like 80% below the ceiling price, 75% below the ceiling price. And you can see here like the ICOSA USD, like that's close to almost 100x there, right? And if I were to change this, like let's say Pulse Chain does 100x the performance that or like 100x outperforms ETH. And I don't know what ETH is going to do, but in this case, like if it goes from 3,000 to 10,000, so it's a lot of X's for Pulse Chain. But when you're looking at like different layer ones and stuff like that and their previous performances and stuff, like it's not out of the realm of possibility, but that doesn't mean that it's going to happen. But I'm just sort of like showing you like how the different ratios would look and how that would translate to like a US dollar value. So if we were to change this to 200,000 pulse chain, down from 20 million we're at today, you can see here the future prices: $7.50 p hex, that would be great. $5 e hex, 2-cent pulse chain. I can't read that one. ETH to pulse, what is that? Oh, that's a, sorry, that's 2-cent pulse chain, or sorry, 2-cent PulseX, and that's 5-cent pulse chain, and that's $112 ICOSA. If Pulse Chain does 100x the performance of ETH, and basically the ratios of everything else in the ecosystem just stay relatively the same. So this goes to show, like, even if we decrease the ETH price to like $8,000, and this is like, let's say you're a bull market all-time high, price predictions or like future price models for different like liquidity bonding pairs, you get to like $6 for PHEX, $4 for EHEX, 1.8 cent for PulseX, 4 cents for PulseChain, and $90 for ICOSA. And yeah, these ratios, like, they could get blown out of proportion way more. So like, these aren't exact like scientific values or anything like that, but HEX, I'm gonna pull up my calculator and do 10,000x divided by 50x. 10,000x divided by 50x. So yeah, that's 200. So yeah, HEX outperformed ETH 200x. So if PulseChain does half of that, or even if it can do a quarter of that, we will see extreme success just through liquidity bonding. And even if we're talking like if ETH does some insane thing, like if it goes to like 20,000, which I don't know if it will. Like, I haven't looked at the market cap enough to think, like, to know if that's even within the realm of like possibility, and like to throw that even out there for this cycle. But with the ETFs and stuff like that, with a lot of the institutional people, may potentially like BlackRock and like these institutional buyers coming in, like we could see ETH start to take off. And with the ETF, like you might get some big hype. And I know ETH also might have some upgrades coming, which would make transactions cheaper and stuff like that, which PulseChain could also receive as well. But lots of things looking up. And like even if we're just back but taking a look at the total crypto market cap that's projected here, it's only like 6 trillion. So last cycle we got up to like over $3 trillion market cap. So this is basically if we just 2x that, which isn't all that, it isn't all that crazy. Even I remember like last year, maybe not last year, but a year and a half ago, 18 months ago, we were at like way under $1 trillion market cap for the entirety of crypto. And now we're almost at 2 trillion. So these things grow quickly, and crypto is the #1 best performing asset class pretty much of all time, like in history. So
oh. I mean, shout out to ICOSA, friend of the channel. $112 ICOSA. The different leverage plays on HEX and PulseChain and stuff are very interesting, especially the ones that are have the positive feedback loops and stuff. That's going to be exciting with Hedron V2 and stuff coming out. I mean, that's, man, 2024. I don't know what to say about it. I'm very excited for this ecosystem.
And that is the thing. Like ICOSA has a good narrative going for it of the leverage on HEX. And if we have people like coming in and they want to buy HEX, even if let's say they buy PulseChain, like what are you going to do with your PulseChain? Like, it pretty much, like, you can pay fees with it, right? But like to do like swaps or to do sends or to do transactions, but you can't really stake your PulseChain unless you have like a third party dApp, or like you're providing liquidity, or like you're doing validating, which you need a lot of PulseChain for. But like if you look at something like HEX, if you have one HEX and you want to stake it for 1 day, you could probably do that on the PulseChain. So I think a lot of people coming into the system are going to want to like buy PulseChain, and then how can I make passive income? And then they're going to be like, oh, I can buy HEX. And then if PulseChain, or if ICOSA has a good, like if it has an outstanding V2 upgrade, and like a lot of the, because I know a lot of the people don't like the inflation of ICOSA, and I think it's just too much with the ceiling price and the arbitrage and stuff like that. But if we could have like a really dialed down awesome system for ICOSA in the bull market, like I wouldn't be surprised if people coming in are going to be like, why would I stake HEX when I could buy the leveraged HEX and make more yield? So I could see some narratives flowing for that. And these prices, like Richard says it all the time, where people in crypto, they get overly bearish at the bottoms, and then they get overly bullish near the tops. And at the bottoms, like, it's hard to throw out the huge price targets and stuff like that, whereas like at the tops, like it's easy to say like HEX to $25 at the exact top. Just like your megaphone, like it emits more sound when the price kind of pumps up more. So that's sort of how I'm looking at it.